Todd McFarlane. It's great to have you here, talking about Spawn, something that, has resonated with us for quite some time, a long time, I should say. I mean, I grew up, reading it myself, so
Yeah, we're going next year is 2027 will be the 35th anniversary of both Spawn and the creation of Image Comics.
that's
So
right.
so anybody that is 35 years or younger, that word has been on the planet for them their entire life. So I guess it's been around longer than I like to think. So
Yeah, because it started with a drawing you had when you were what, like 16, 17.
yep, yeah,
And
16. Yep.
yeah, talk to me a bit about that. Getting to get that concept out of your head, that young, and then putting on paper, and then suddenly, like, after getting into this industry, you were able to launch that as your masterpiece, I would
Yeah.
say.
So I mean, the sort of the quick story on that is, it was about the same. At 16 is when I started really collecting comic books, right? So, and again, we're going to talk about this book, Spawn 77. That's really what the 77 is.
Right.
I created it in 1977, right? So, but I started collecting comic books, fell head over heels with it. Began teaching myself that art style, right? What I call Americana superhero comic books. Because I was just doodling and I didn't really have a style. When I started collecting the comic books, I went, oh man, I'm going to teach myself that. So, so that's at 16. So again, I did hundreds and hundreds of Captain Americas and Batmans and Supermans and Spider-Mans, all like everybody, right? Everything I was reading, I was drawing. But I also at some point got bit by the bug of going, hey, maybe I can create my own Captain America and Spider-Man. And so I would create characters, and I created dozens of them. But the one that struck me the most, that I thought, oh man, this guy's the coolest, was the character that we now know today as Spawn, right? So I did the drawings, and I did some more of them, and I gave him a cape. I like drawing capes even way back then. And then eventually I go, well, I'm going to do my own comic book, right? Because nobody's going to give a 16, 17-year-old a job. So I did a 40-page comic book that I never finished. I still have all the pages today. And but if you've seen the cover, and it will be one of the covers of this upcoming Spawn 77 book, um, it has the word Spawn, the logo, and but I put the skull on the A, which remains today, even as a 16-year-old. My graphic design sense was still there. And then, as I've told people before, if you look at the design I did at 16, it wasn't sort of crazy good. It was just sort of classic, right? Gloves, boots, emblem on your chest, a belt, mask, cape, right? I mean, it was sort of all the cliches that I had begun reading about at that point. And and although I had a story, I mean, again, it wasn't like I had them all mapped out, right? I'm 16, I'm just drawing a bunch of stuff, just doing my thing. What I will tell you though, and again, that covers sort of the time, 1977, 78, when I'm 16, 17. I break into comic books in the first book I think comes out in 1985. But the whole time I'm working for Marvel and DC, I had all those characters that I'd created in my portfolio, but I never pulled any of them out, right? I know I had some of my other peers, Rob Liefeld being one of them, that had so many, he actually gave some of them to Marvel. But before I broke into Marvel, I had been reading about the industry, and I didn't think it was a fair-minded industry to be able to just give them your ideas, right? I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, Todd, you're drawing Spider-Man, can you create a character that is like a Tiger Man?" I would do it, right? But what I wouldn't do is say, "Oh man, I've got a Tiger Man idea I created years ago. Here, I'll just give you mine." So Spawn was always in the back of my mind the whole time I was at Marvel and DC. I just didn't know that there would ever be an opportunity to do it. And then when we decided to leave Marvel Comic Books, myself and six others to form Image Comics, the third largest company behind Marvel and DC, we all had to look at each other and go, "Well, what book are you going to do?" And I knew, like, oh man, I'm doing Spawn, right? Because I never forgot about him. He was always sitting there, and so I go, "We're going to do Spawn," and now we're up to issue Spawn number one came out in 1992. We're now up to issue 377, like the big number now. And we've been doing some sort of goofy stuff. And somewhere along the line, Mark Spears, the artist that's got a lot of heat on him, saw that 16-year-old Todd drawing and went, "Man, Todd, we should, I kind of dig that design. We should do something with it." And I was like, "All right. Sure, sure." And I thought he was kidding. And then he just kept coming back to me and giving me story ideas and artwork. And I go, "Oh man, he's serious. He wants to do this." So we just began talking about it. And eventually he did the heavy lifting of painting all those pages in his style. Look at issue number one of Spawn 77 coming out in September is going to be 52 pages long. 52 pages. It's going to be a nice, fat, thick book. And the reason for it is to just let people who are curious get a feel for it. Because sometimes I think 20 pages goes a little bit too fast, especially for an issue number one, right?
Yeah,
So
very small.
so, I mean, again, and if you watch like streaming on TV, or they do this, the first episode is usually longer than the others because they need to set the table. So yeah, we just want, let's just do a big fat 52 issues, see if people like it. It takes place in 1977. Um, the only caveat that I gave Mark was one, it can't be a full-fledged hellspawn because the mythology is that these hellspawns have been coming like every century, right? So it can't be because I know in 1992, Al Simmons, the OG spawn, is coming, right? So it can't be 15 years earlier, there's another one. So if we can solve that issue in a creative way, then let's go. And Mark came back and we started talking and we thought we came up with a story that solves all that and looks kind of cool. So and you don't have to know anything about sort of Spawn, Al Simmons Spawn to be able to read this. You could give this book to your next door neighbor and that they'll hit the ground running and it'll make complete sense to them. So
Yeah, because I was gonna say like it must have taken some time just to kind of make sure that it's its own separate thing without just, saying that it's come from, not from the original, but it's like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
basically its own thing.
Yeah. And again, those are creative choices you make. Because there's plenty of characters you do miniseries of. I've done plenty where that are adjacent and tied to sort of the main book, right? Again, if you do a Batman book and then you do Robin, you go, "Oh, okay, Batman, Robin, that makes sense." But I like to put out books from time to time that visually look different, that read slightly different, and that you don't have to have sort of any real big prior knowledge. And the reason that I do that is because there may be somebody out there who goes, "I don't like superhero books. I don't even like Spawn. Like, forget it, right? Like, I'm not into that stuff." But if you look at the way that Mark's artwork is, which is really cinematic and almost realistic, and you go, "Oh, there's sort of a 70s dirty New York vibe to it," right? Because I thought that was all that cool stuff in the movies that I'm sure people maybe who were living at that time didn't think were so cool, but it looked good on TV. Uh, and I went, "All right, let's just give them something that people could go, oh, I can read this thing called Spawn 77 and never and not not care about anything else in my company that we put out there." So I'm always looking for that sort of that one new one, that one new person who just comes and go, I hate everything except for this miniseries, right? And because we put out probably about in the last couple of years, maybe 10 to 20 different miniseries. And I think it's a complete valid answer. As a matter of fact, I think it's actually a good answer when people go, man, I like this miniseries, but I don't care about all the rest of your stuff, Todd. Oh, cool. At least I got you for a couple days, right? That's better than 0 days. So, anyways, maybe not. Maybe it's a silly decision. Maybe you should just give them more of the same. But I don't know. I don't think there's any shortage of superhero type comic books for people to devour. So,
Yeah, because like working with this with Spears, like I'm sure you guys had some ideas bouncing around and then trying to figure out like what works for this particular issue. Like what what was it like trying to kind of figure that out with him? Like
well,
specifically with trying to form a story with this version of Spawn.
so I think there's two things that went into the very beginning of it, and then once you sort of lock into those two things, then you can start spinning the details out of it. Number one, we wanted it to be set in 1977 New York City, and make it sort of its own character visually, right? So once you sort of say that, then you go, well, what do we think New York 1977 is? And depending on what that answer is, and we're not necessarily right, we're just coming up with our own anecdotal ideas of it, is that then the ideas then spread out from it, right? So we talked about, you know, movies like The French Connection and Shaft and some of these TV shows that actually use sort of the 1980s New York as a background as sort of our starting point. And there's sort of kind of a cool vibe about it, right? There was a movie too called Narc that didn't go quite back as far, but it just felt like the detectives walking the streets and being under the subway trains and stuff like that while you're having your conversation and the subway goes by and you've got your pizza and tattoo parlors that are lining up the side of the street and it's just kind of cool liquor stores. Um, uh, because I'll give you my first experience in New York City. I'm trying to think how old I am, but I'm going to go Marvel comic books, which is both Marvel and DC at that time were located in downtown Manhattan. And I I'm a Canadian kid and I'm going, man, I'm going to New York. Man, look, no, shoot, I'm at the top of the world. And I landed in New Jersey and took a bus into New York and went to Port Authority. Now, for people who don't know what Port Authority is, because I didn't, it's like it's where the Greyhound buses go, if you will. And I'm used to like it just being like a stop. And Port Authority is like 4 or 5 stories high. Like it blew my mind. I'm like, there's a parking lot, literally a parking garage for buses. Like I go, what am I looking at? And then you come out and there's a giant lobby, and I'm like, oh man, it was this cool thing that I go, shoot, this is cool. And I walked out of Port Authority, and at that time, and so this would have been in the late 80s or something like that. And I walked out and no lie, the very first thing that I see as I cross, the doors open, is this, there was a theater. There was a theater across the street. And in big red letters against that white, backlit was Rump Humpers XXX starring Cherry Blossom. And I just went, oh man, I've made it. This is exactly what I thought New York was. Triple X cherry blossom rum pumpers. And I didn't have cell phones back then because I would have taken a selfie like right now. But I just ended up walking down the rest of the street, just going, oh, cool. Look at how gritty this all is. Now, as you know, they've since cleaned all that area up, right? I think the Rump Pumpers Theater is now a Starbucks or something, right? Like It's not nearly as sexy when you come out of Port Authority and see a Starbucks. It doesn't evoke New York City to me. So we sort of again took that vibe and added plus, and here's the second part of it, like make New York City a character. Second part of it is it can't be a full-fledged hellspawn because I can't do it. I've got Al Simmons. I know comes in 1992. Because chronologically he's already been published. So how does this person exist? And the answer, kind of in its simplest form, is that given that the hellspawns have been coming for centuries, then it has to be somebody who has knowledge about everything prior prior to Al Simmons. So the lore, the mythology of it going backwards. Um, all right. And what happens if you know too much, right? There's an old movie, it was like the man who knew too much, right? So and you go, oh, I thought all of this was maybe sort of like a myth, a old wives' tale, and you find out to be real. What if you find out that like you go, man, I've been reading a lot about Bigfoot, and then you find out that you know where they're at and how they grow and how they multiply. Like you go, uh-oh. A, it would be cool since you've been doing it. And two, what about people who don't want Bigfoot to be exposed? Right? So you can get caught in the middle of it. Guy Ritchie does movies like this, where somebody comes in that's like, "Oh, I'll just steal this car," and then they open up the back trunk and there's a dead body, and you go, it just goes from bad to worse, right? Like, "Oh, do you know who that dead body is? Do you know why he's?" And you go from it. So that's that's sort of a little bit of the fun we're going to have. But again, the mythology is still there, so heaven and hell still go. Hey, something's happening in New York City. We better check it out. We better check it out. And it just gets sort of bigger and grander and weirder and some twist. And again, I wanted to have a Quentin Tarantino vibe to it, to the whole thing. So I don't know. Maybe I mean again, we're talking about big ideas and maybe we fell way short. Hopefully not. Hopefully people will enjoy what Mark and I came up with.
Yeah, how is that going to resonate with basically fans of of Spawn because like this is definitely something new and like not everyone has grown up during that time. So how do you think that's going to connect with longtime fans?
Yeah, I don't know. To your point, there's a bit of nostalgia play here, right? For a couple of reasons. One, obviously, it's take place in 1970. So unless you're 50 years old, you go, I don't even know what that is. But I hope that TV, Hollywood movies have kept that alive, right? Just like, we got the Odyssey coming up. Like, what are you talking about? None of us know what that was, but you're going to be looking at it and either going, God, I feel like I was there, right? So I don't know that that will be a deterrent. It could be because some people don't want to read period stuff anymore and they want to read like, I've got two gunslinger Spawn books. One actually takes place in the Wild West. And people are like, no, I don't want that. I want today. I want today. So I mean, the short answer is we're going to find out. We're going to find out whether they are intrigued to ask us to do more when we're done, or whether they're going to go, that was okay, or whether they're just going to go, not my cup of tea. I'll go, it was okay, not a big deal. So that's it. But the fun of doing a variety of sort of options when you're creating comic books allows you to get a variety of reactions back. Because I got to tell you, I have no interest in just making all my books look exactly and read exactly the same. I because when I was 16, 17, 18, it was okay. I could consume those comic books. I like hundreds of them. But as I got older, I needed a I needed I needed my comic book reading diet to have more ingredients in it. And so all of a sudden, I found myself buying books that were either more mature, more sophisticated, or that were more than just Marvel and DC, right? And so I think it's sort of the lasting strength of Image Comics. I think we put out a lot of eclectic books that people enjoy, and you could read a ton of books that we put out at Image Comic Books and not be a superhero fan. Right? I mean, I would argue the majority of our books are not superhero, right? I mean, we began that way in 1992, but today that's not true. Most of the books are way off the path of what I would call superhero.
Yeah, because like we're kind of expanding like as far as storytelling goes, like with with these different creators that are trying different things, and you know you come from that different era where it's like kind of I wouldn't say golden age, but like it was like at that start of like these modern comic book superheroes, and I feel like it's kind of evolving now, through time with these different iterations of superheroes. Like what I wanted to ask you is like how do you kind of do you feel like you still fit into that void of storytelling, or do you feel like, you kind of grew out of it and now you just want to give it to these new, writers, let them
Well,
tell their story?
from my career, I long ago, I got to tell you, I long ago stopped thinking about it, right? I just like I put my head down and I create, and that's it, right? And if people like it, look, my goal has been for most of my career, maybe all of my career, is to get enough people to support it so that either at Marvel and DC they'll continue to hire you, or when we went on our own to have enough people so that you can at least break even financially and keep going and making and creating more, right? And so if you if if you concede, which is true, that the goal for me is to find enough people, and I need about this many. I don't give a shit about the rest of the world opinion because you're not buying my product. I don't care, right? Like the like who people. It's weird. People think somehow that I'm looking for all 8 billion people to support what I do. I'm not. I'm not. I'm looking for enough people to support it. And I've been lucky that I've gotten enough people so that I now am 40 years into my career. So on any given day, would I like to have twice as many people buying it? Of course. What are you talking about? All of us, anybody that sells any product would like to double sales tomorrow. Okay, fine. But in the meantime, while you're trying to figure out how to double sales, are you surviving? Right? Like having a 40-year career in any industry to me is a mark of success on some level. Because why? Because you get old and you can become irrelevant, and then the young crew comes in and the young people and then there's these natural bell curves. I'm telling you, there's a natural bell curve in every industry, everything, including careers, right? Okay. The question is, how flat and wide can you make your bell curve? Because I know plenty of companies, plenty of ideas, plenty of celebrities whose bell curve went up high, fast, hard, and then in 2 or 3 years it came down. And you go, man, where are they? Right? Like, man, they used to be really famous. From a distance, especially as I get older and I understand like how difficult it is, I sort of admired the Rolling Stones and the Kiss and the Tom Hanks of the world that have been able to have like 40, almost 50-year, Robert De Niro, 50-year career. It didn't go, but man, it goes big and long. And by the end of it, they're still kind of sort of relevant. It's not like they faded out. They were still relevant, right? Ozzy Osbourne had a hell of a career, And when he died, he was still somewhat relevant. Was he the hottest guy in music? Of course not. But was he relevant still as an old man? Uh-huh. That's that I gotta tell you, as a person who lives in a smaller version of that celebrity, is the hardest part of climbing, right? You got to get in the game whatever industry you pick, you got to get in. So that's already a bit of a steep climb. Then you've got to go, oh, can I be somebody that people pay attention to? That gets even steeper because everybody wants to sort of be in the starting lineup. And then you go, can I do it for a long, long time? And then can I be relevant during that long, long time? That's when that hill gets that steep, right? So, okay. But in all honesty, I've been doing it for me personally. I've been doing it for 40 years. If it winds down, if all of a sudden it comes crashing all down, like I'm good. I've had a good run at it. I've had a good run at it. What's way more odd to me is why an old man like myself and some of my peers are still relevant. We're old men. Come on. Come on, youth. Come on, go like come on, somebody knock us off the stage and take over. And take over. It's like it's weird to me. Like when I was a kid, if somebody had told me when I was breaking into comic books trying to make a career that what I've got to do is knock a 60-year-old plus off a stage and then Todd, then people pay attention to you. Not only would I have tried to knock him, I would have done with one hand behind my back. I go, a 60-year-old man, that's an old man, right? When we broke into comic books, we were trying to knock John Byrne and George Perez off, right? We were 25, they were 35. Like, there was no 55-year-old that I went, well, come on, like their time has come and gone. So I don't know. We're lucky. We're lucky that we've been able to do it for as long as we have, myself and a bunch of my peers. But it's odd. It's a bit of a head scratcher as to why we should just be oil paintings right on the wall going, remember, way back then, those guys used to matter, but not today. Today is way cooler. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for it. But overall, I just keep creating and doing stuff, and I don't worry about what people, especially as you get older, what people think, like what my legacy is. Like I'm just way over that. Let me tell you right now, nobody is more bored of Todd than me, right? And I gotta live with me every day. It's like, oh, Todd, you're ridiculous. So I'm okay. I've had a good run, and if it ends tomorrow, I'll have a smile on my face till the day I die. So
Wow, that's incredible to hear. I still feel like your legacy is still, like it's not over. Like I feel like you still got a lot of juice left in that tank. I
can
do
I
want
give
to,
can I tell you something here just
yeah,
for people
yeah.
listening? Because I
Go
run
ahead.
into it all the time. First off, maybe I'm a weird guy. I think I got like a lack of certain chemical in my body. One of them is fear. I'm almost dumb with lack of fear. And then two, I disavow stress. I don't believe in that word, right? Do I have days that are not perfect? Every day, every day. I wake up every day and go, today will not be perfect. And when it's not, I'm not surprised by it, right? It's weird to me that it's like I run into people and I get so worked up over something. I go, what? You thought today was going to be perfect? That nobody was going to cut you off in traffic? That somehow you were going to be the first one to do this, or that all the emails coming from a company that nobody was going to write a word? Like, it's stop it, right? Lower the bar. Just wake up every day and go, today will not be perfect, and you will never, ever be disappointed. Ever. As a matter of fact, when the imperfection comes, you go, man, nailed it. Because I knew today was going to be imperfect. Cool. So what do I care, right? Again, what people care about my artwork, but here's what I call the zero factor. And I'm serious about this, what I'm about to say, because people sort of get worked out. It depends on where you put your head, right? Because I don't golf, but I've done it the odd time. I've done golfing where I get to a par five and I'm shit. And I'm golfing with somebody who's good. And I go, oh man. And I play over my head. And I guess they play under there. Anyways, at the end of that hole, I got a six on a par five. Woo! I am doing cartwheels. Woo! The guy next to me got a six, and he is taking his club and he is bending it. My number is a six. His number is a six. And I'm happy, and he is angry over the same number, the same result. The only difference was what was your expectation? So it's on that person. So here's the zero factor. And if you can apply this, I, I, if you can, in a meaningful way, it will give you freedom. Here's how it works for me. Maybe it might not work for anybody else. I probably got 1 or 2 million fans across the planet. And I divide 1 or 2 million people, divide it by the population of the planet, 8.1 billion people. And I get a fraction. And then I take that fraction, which is like 0.000. It's a really small fraction. And then I go, okay, Todd, let's round that to the closest whole number. You know what the closest whole number is to that fraction? Zero. Zero. So what that means, and here's the zero factor. If I do something, if I do a piece of artwork and I show it, and everybody hates it, and I do the math, it's still 0%. And then if the next week I do a drawing and I put it up, except for now, all 2 million of my fans love it. I do the math, it's still zero, which basically means no matter what I do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the big scope of things. They love it, it's a zero. They hate it, it's a zero. Or a mixture in between, still a zero. Once you accept that you're a zero, that what you do isn't going to really change the world, it's liberating. It's because you know what that does for me? I go, so if they love it, I'm a zero, and they hate it, I'm a zero. So why don't I do what I like personally? I'm just going to do stuff that makes me happy now. And I don't give a shit about what anything happened because it comes out to being a zero. So I might as well keep at least one person happy, me. It's the only person I can control, me. I don't even control my wife. I'm like, I got control over one human being on this planet, me. So I'm going to make Todd happy every single day because it's my job to keep me happy. Nobody else's. And all the rest of it is like who, like whatever. I'm over it. I'm over all the rest of it. I'm just gonna do my art and have a good day today. And if people like it, cool. And if they don't, cool. Right? Like I don't control any other human beings. So I got a smile on my face. I got air in my lungs. Today's a great day. I'm gonna enjoy today, no matter how it goes down. So
Lovely, love to hear that. Before we cut off, I want to ask you, what we're almost at 400 issues, but
yeah.
do you see anything coming forth, anytime soon, like something you want to maybe share?
Yeah, we've been talking internally, and issue 377 is coming out, so we are less than 2 years away, right? And to your point, that's gonna catch up to us faster than you think, right? I've been around long enough to go, hey guys, we've got 2 years to plan this out. We better start thinking about it very seriously in the next 6 months, right? Because otherwise, even at 18 months, it's going to start going because you got to basically promote it in advance and solicit it in advance, so you don't even have the 2 years really. So, but I've sort of warned everybody, rung the bell to say, hey, keep this on the back because we're going to be having a couple of serious conversations about what would be kind of cool story wise, marketing wise. Some stuff. I've been threatening, and I might do it, who knows, to take that 40-page story of the original Spawn that I did when I was 16 and finish inking it, like old man Todd, inking over 16-year-old Todd, and then color it. And because that whole story took place in space when I first created Spawn, it took place in it was a sci-fi story because 77 was sort of right when this thing called Star Wars was coming along. So it was like everybody was into sci-fi mode and see if anybody sort of cares about, I don't know. And then in the story, we've got a couple big ideas that we want to do, but It's issue 400 should be it should there should be something in there. I because I would expect it as a reader to go issue 400. Do it. It's like a comedian. Oh, you're a comedian, make me laugh, right? So issue 400 anniversary, make it special, Todd. So here we go. We'll come up with some goofy stuff, but in the meantime, heading out to San Diego next week, right? Got San Diego Comic Con next week.
Yeah,
Big show.
big show.
Th this weekend we've got a drop in a collaboration I did with J. Scott Campbell, who I think is one of the preeminent cover artists in
Amazing.
the industry. And then I've got a couple other miniseries that we're just buttoning up here as we head into 2027. Because Spawn 400 will come out in 2028, but 2027, like I said, is the 35th anniversary of both Spawn and more importantly, Image Comics. So we got lots of things coming down and announcements coming here in the next year or so. And again, I try not to do it too much on my end. Just like every now and then I go, hey, here's something we're doing. I think it's worth at least a curious look, right? And I think Spawn 77 is one of those. Again, it may or may not be your cup of tea, but I think it's worth having the conversation of saying, here's what it's going to look like, here's what it's going to be, and here's why, right? And then you go on to the next one, but you don't do the next one the very next week, right? You wait 3 months, 4 months, and then you go, hey, I think I've got this other thing because I don't want to be the boy crying wolf saying every week something's awesome, right? So I don't think that's fair. So
Sounds good. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I look forward to 77 when that drops. And then we still got another year left for 400. So, I'm hoping to see more of whatever comes, in the Spawn universe. So
and
definitely excited.
and if Spawn 77 works, then maybe the next one coming out would be Spawn 78. Here we go.
Yeah, I want to see more of that, definitely. Well, Todd, it's been a pleasure, and best of luck to you, and cannot wait to see more of what you do next.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
for giving
much.
me, I appreciate it. Thanks for giving me the time. Have a nice conversation. Hope you guys don't get too much haze out there.
Oh, no worries. Don't worry. We're still surviving out here. So
Yeah, no, I'm Canadian, and I know that we just a couple years ago we had the big fire on the West Coast, and everything was all hazy for like a month, and it was like, oh man. So I guess on the East Coast this time, so I know what it's about. So,
yep. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir. All
all
right.
right, be good.
All right, you too.